Usually, like, they don't come to this house to build her because she's so like they.
Yeah.
So when you're home, you just need to simply just so we know when you're done. How you will talk. Okay, you just ready to let me know that. Oh, you're just Kelly. Or you just say out of marketing source.
안할 수 있는 거야. 아, 가셨어요? 누가 엄청 그거를
I think the more we're gonna, like, I think the more like
오늘 빼신 거 아니야?
things that we
그러니까요. 아니, 그런 거 먹더라고요. 그래서 말하세요. 나 그래서 당연히 주세요. 열심히 정리하는
Well, that's what we can start. I mean, we have a good after. They can just speak.
너 연락할게. 너 제가 끝나서 연락할게. 지금 시작하는 거.
진짜요?
네. 아무나 못 나와.
그래요? 알았어. 제대로 해야 돼. 진짜? 내가 진짜
심원 선배는 자주
커피숍 시대.
여기도 가끔 괜찮아요. 야, 클립 뭐야?
아, 우리 그거 가야 돼.
말을 많이 하고 맨날 같은 걸 좋아해요. 할 말이 없어서 지금 뭔가 말해야 될 것 같아. 듣고 있지 마요. 여기 완전 이상한 거야. 옛날 거기는
So we're gonna get started. 지금 시작하겠습니다. Thank you everyone for coming to our press conference. Today is June 15, 2015. It marks the 3rd year anniversary of DACA, which is the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program. And today we are celebrating and commemorating this event with our national API DACA Collaborative Southern California member organizations. So today we'll talk about API DACA Collaborative, and the organizations that are here today are Korean Resource Center, South Asian Network, and Asian Americans Advancing Justice LA. So we have Ju Hong, who is a representative from the National API DACA Collaborative, Tiffany Panulio from the Asian Americans Advancing Justice Los Angeles, and Liza Barlas from South Asian Network, and I'm Helly Ko from the Green Resource Center. So today again we'll talk about the API DACA Collaborative, go over our service directory, and each organization will talk about do some reflections from the previous 3 years of having had DACA services, serving undocumented community members, sharing testimonies, and also going over some of the services and resources we have at each organization. So we'll start with you.
Thank you all so much for coming. My name is Chu Hong, and I'm the National Asian American Pacific Islander, or API DACA Collaborative Coordinator. And the National API DACA Collaborative was formed right after the DACA's announcement in 2012 to coordinate outreach activities and provide legal services to API DACA eligible individuals to apply for the program. This collaborative consists of 14 different API organizations in major U.S. cities, Asian American Advancing Justice affiliates, Advancing Justice LA, Advancing Justice Asian Law Caucus in San Francisco, Advancing Justice AAJC in DC, the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund, or ALDEF, in New York, the National Korean American Service and Education Consortium, NACASAC, in LA and Virginia, the Korean Resource Center, or KRC, in LA and Orange County, and the Korean American Resource and Cultural Center, KRCC, in Chicago, the South Asian Americans Leading Together, or SALT, in Maryland, Chinese for Affirmative Action, or CAA, in San Francisco, Chinese American Service League, or also known as CASTLE, in Chicago, South Asian Organizing Center, or DRUM, in New York, Filipino Advocates for Justice, or FAJ, in Oakland, South Asian American Policy Research Institute, or SAPRI, in Chicago, and South Asian Network in LA. And together from August 2012 to December 2013, the collaborative held 3,842 individuals to submit DACA applications, and we offered close to 10,000 consultations and held over 305 clinics and processing events across the country. And so today, we're here today to celebrate the 3 years anniversary of DACA program. And since the implementation, more than 664,000 undocumented youth have been received the DACA program, and 244,000 undocumented youth have been renewed their status. So nationwide, there are about 1.5 million Asian American Pacific Islander undocumented youth are living in this country, and among them over 100,000 API undocumented youth are eligible for this program. However, less than 10% of API individuals have applied for DACA, and in California, there are about 412,000 API undocumented people are residing in California, and among them, there are about 37,000 API undocumented youth are eligible for DACA program. However, only 4.8% of API individuals have applied for this program in California. So clearly, there's a very few Asian Americans have applied for this program, and community advocates believe that the low application rate is due to several reasons: a lack of information about DACA's benefits, fears of exposing undocumented status, high fees, and the lack of linguistically appropriate DACA services to serve Asian American immigrant communities. In response to that, the collaborative has been working very closely together on outreach, community education, communications, and legal services, organizing advocacy to increase application rates and establishing high renewal rates for API DACA eligible across the country. And we also, in efforts to increasing application rates, we also created the AAPI Legal Service Directory, which is in your press packet. And this service directory has general service information for 14 different organizations within the collaborative, which includes types of services and languages that they offer. Clearly, this program helps thousands of young undocumented youth across the country to allow them to work and live in this country without the daily threat of deportation for the first time in their lives. And we are in celebrating the 3 years anniversary, we are really encouraging AAPI DACA eligible community members to apply for the program and renew their status. And now I would like to introduce 3 organizations in Southern California within the collaborative: Korean Research Center, South Asian Network, and Advancing Justice LA. And they will discuss about their accomplishments and share resources as well as services that they provide for DACA eligible community members.
So my name is Tiffany Cambolio. I am one of the DACA legal advocates at Advancing Justice Los Angeles, or Asian Americans Advancing Justice Los Angeles. And we're very familiar, I mean, the ethnic community already knows that we've been in the community since 1983. We've served the immigrant communities of Los Angeles counties, Orange County, and San Bernardino counties for over 30 years. And we've been serving DACA folks since the announcement 3 years ago today. So over the past 3 years, like, we've seen a lot of changes in Los Angeles, and I'm sure a lot of you've seen it. The mayor of Los Angeles, Eric Garcetti, has opened up his doors to immigrants from all countries of origin. He's put together free legal services thanks to members of our collaboration and the CCF. LAUSD here in Los Angeles, the school district, has become a national imprint on the rest of the nation for helping students who are undocumented by getting together with USCIS and allowing them to get their school records that are within DACA regulations. And more importantly, several nonprofits here in LA have come together to serve a lot of the lowest serving undocumented communities. And today we're going to talk about the Asian Pacific Island for undocumented youth. So, and as Juhan mentioned, a lot of they have more obstacles than their Latin American counterparts. They have, a lot of us fear that applying is going to affect our parents. It's going to affect whether we're going to stay here or not, or whether it limits our stay here in the United States. A lot of them have problems coming up with the 465 filing fee, and they do have a lot of issues for just access to in-language, affordable, and quality, confidential legal services. Asian Pacific American Legal Center, or Advancing Justice Los Angeles, has been one of the hubs for free legal services here in LA County. And we've actually served over 2,700 cases since day one. And me and one other representative have served over 380 cases with a 99% approval rate, which is phenomenal, I think. And many of our clients are coming back for renewals. One of the stories that I would like to talk about in terms of renewals is one of the clients that just came back recently. He's from Malaysia, he's 28 years old, and he applied right back in 2012. And his parents were very supportive of it. They paid $2,500 for a lawyer to submit his application, and he got denied. So one of the things is, his family was like, well, what are we gonna do? So they scoured LA for help, and fortunately enough, they came here to one of the members of our collaborative. We were able to help him review his case, submit it again, and he got approved. He's actually my client. So when I first saw him, he was very disheveled. He was only able to come up with money through school tutoring, basketball coaching, and now he is actually able to be a financial advisor. So he's making more money than me. And it's great because he told me, he's able to help out his parents who are also undocumented. He was able to help fund for chemo for his father, and he's living rather well. So many other people, there are so many others out there that could have the same story as this person with the help of DACA. So Advancing Justice and the rest of our collaborative is going to continue to help all those folks until everybody is served. And with that, I'm going to introduce our partner with Sam, who's also going to talk about other resources for undocumented communities.
Hi, my name is Faiza and I'm from the South Asian Network. Certain services we offer our undocumented clients. It ranges from free consultations with an immigration attorney in language, because one of the issues our clients run into is actually getting access to legal help and in language, because many of our South Asian clients don't speak English, and then on top of that, when DACA was released, a lot of other fake attorneys would come out and communicate with them in language, and they had a tough time telling the difference between actual attorneys and fake attorneys. So the reason we offer this is to build trust within the community and actually offer legitimate legal resources. When we do find DACA eligible clients, we refer them to legal aid organizations such as LAFLO or Advancing Justice. We also help them find accessible possible healthcare options. We assist them with their driver's license process, studying for the exam in language as well. And we specialize in our outreach towards the South Asian community by translating DACA eligible sheets into, different South Asian languages, which range from Hindi to Urdu to Bangla. And I think the emphasis that the South Asian Network wants to put on outreach in language is that when we began doing outreach for DACA and DAPA, we were surprised by the number of DACA and DAPA eligible clients we found, because in the national level, API statistics are very low comparatively to their Latin American counterparts, but we were surprised by the number of eligible clients we had. And I was even at a meeting with LA County, and the main focus they had was on Spanish, translations for DACA and DAPA in language in Spanish. And we had to emphasize that, we need translations in Korean, we need translations in Chinese, we need translations in Hindi and Urdu, because the reason people aren't coming out is because they don't have information that they can understand. So, and another thing I want to emphasize is through our outreach, even though DAPA it's still in the court system, through DACA we are able to form strong relationships with the undocumented community, especially within the South Asian community, because they're very embarrassed that they're undocumented, so they tend to stay hidden and not speak out. And even the client story that I'm going to share with you, they asked me to stay as vague as possible because there's a lot of shame that goes along with being undocumented. So this family came into our office, and they initially came in looking for healthcare options. And once we started talking about the different kinds of healthcare and the systems that exist. And this was in language as well because they don't speak English. They revealed to us that they were undocumented. And they had 2 children that were still in school, so we continued to ask them, about their children in DACA, and at that time they said that they had already filed for DACA with another attorney. And 6 months later they came back and they told us that the attorney disappeared. They took all of their money, and for a DACA application that's a lot of money, especially for a low-income client. And then after that, we assisted them with their application again, and they had to wait another year to save up money, as well as taking loans off of friends and such. And they were able to apply for their children to have DACA, and now their children are doing really well. One of them is at Cal Poly Pomona, another is still in high school. They were able to get work permits and actually earn money and help their parents. But the issue is that the parents are still undocumented. And even though, and even though through DACA, this family, they were helped a lot. They, by their children getting work permits are able to support their parents, but their parents are still undocumented and they're still afraid and still in hiding. So, DACA has been amazing, but we still push for more comprehensive immigration reform. And now I want to hand it over to KFC.
Hi, my name is Helly. I'm with the Korean Resource Center. KRC has been around since 1983, and last year we just opened up an office in Orange County. So we have two offices, Orange County and here in Los Angeles, Koreatown. And what we do is we do DACA services from start to finish. We do application assistance, and we also do renewal assistance. And we have a hotline that's available in the API service directory that you can find. It's 323-680-5725, where you can find, you can call the number and we will help you to figure out if you're eligible for DACA, if you can apply for renewals, and also if you're eligible for expanded DACA and DACA programs. And so again, we assist with applications, and we also have a new program called the Lending Circle. So it's an interest-free loan that will help in-need DACA-eligible applicants pay the $465 application fee. So those are a little bit of the services that we have. Both of them are available in the Orange County and LA offices. And in the past 3 years, KRC has been serving DACA-eligible community members. So since it was announced in 2012, KRC took in thousands of calls from Korean American community members who are undocumented to see if they're eligible for DACA. And again, there are 1 in 8 Korean Americans are undocumented. So it's a very large population within our community that needs these services and might be eligible for DACA or other services available to undocumented community members. And KRC is part of a national organization called NACASEC. And as NACASEC, KRC, and with our Chicago affiliate, in the past year, so April 2014 to May 2015, we've taken 11,000 calls, conducted 4,345 one-on-one consultations, and processed a total of 1,300 Asian American and Pacific Islander DACA applications. So this is NACASEC, KRC, and KRCC within the past year. And so KRC specifically, we've outreached to 5,040 community members and pre-screened 2,200 DACA eligible folks, and processed 469 applications. And again, this is in the last year. So KRC has been one of the lead organizations serving Korean American undocumented community members, not just in Los Angeles, but also Orange County. And as part of NACASEC, we've served Korean Americans nationally. And just to provide a few testimonials, we've had many young students come in applying for DACA. One of them is Jason Lee. He just finished his second year at UCI, University of California, Irvine, studying business. And prior to getting DACA, he wasn't able to get a part-time job. But after he received DACA, he was able to work. His family lives in Koreatown, so he's been able to get a part-time job. He also interned at KRC, and he's been able to provide for his family. He has an older sister who just graduated from college as well. So DACA opened up a lot of opportunities for him to also get a driver's license, attend college, and support his family. We also have another high school student. Her name is Sarah. She just graduated from high school. She has an older brother who also has DACA, who's undocumented. And she came from Korea when she was 7 years old. Her family came to help her aunt start her business, but then their visa expired, so they became undocumented. And now, because she has DACA, she's able to go to college. She'll be attending UCLA in the fall, hoping to study medicine. And she'll be able to get internships in the lab. She's also been an active volunteer at a hospital and at KRC. And so those are two examples of students who've been who really benefited from DACA, who are Korean American living in Koreatown. But we also have older students or older DACA eligible folks. One of them, he got DACA when he was in his mid-20s. So he was able to get a job in the financial district or financial sector working at a bank. He's Korean American. He was an active student leader at KRC in the past, and now he's working at a bank, and he also recently got promoted. So there are all these opportunities that students and young people who get DACA will have because they can get a work permit, they can get a social security number, and they don't have to live in fear of deportation. So those are some examples of Korean American community members. And right now, it's the 3rd anniversary of DACA. And even though we have DACA now, that's still not enough. We believe that what we really need is a comprehensive immigration reform, a pathway to citizenship, a pathway to legalization for all undocumented community members. And right now, as Faiza has mentioned, there is an injunction going on. There's expanded DACA. And our parent program called DAPA that would allow up to 5 million undocumented community members get relief from deportation and a work permit. So KRC and NACASEC has been working on 2 campaigns. One is locally in Orange County to get community support around DAPA, and also around expanded DACA and DAPA. And also nationally, we have a campaign going on to get community support for these executive action programs. So that's the. So I just wanted to open it up to questions. If you have any questions for any of us sitting up here.
한국말로 가능하세요?
한국말로요? 부족해서.
해보세요. 추방미애 발표가 3주년인데 오늘 가장 하고 싶어져 하는 핵심 포인트 메시지가 뭐?
한국말로.
네, 섞어서 하세요.
네. 다시 질문해 주세요. So what's the main
메시지 따위원은
일단 한인 커뮤니티하고 동양 Asian American 커뮤니티에서 되게 많이 서류 미비자들이 있는데 신청을 아직 안 했어요. 그래서 각각 추방위에 신청이나 갱신 신청이나 안 했으니까 지금 3년 동안 진행했던 프로그램이라서 받았던 학생들 중에서 받았던 서류 미비자들 중에서 많이 도움이 받았던 사람들 많이 있어서 아직 지금도 안정하고 위험하지 않아서 꼭 신청하라고 그렇게 말씀하고 싶어요.
지금 계류 중이잖아요, 법원에.
네.
앞으로 어떻게 될 것 같고 그게 지금 프리딕션 여러 개가 나오고 있는데 언제쯤 이게 통과가 실질적으로 될 것 같아요?
실제적으로 일단 7월 10일에 Department of Justice
Department of Justice, DOJ, and they'll have a hearing on 5th Circuit on July 10th in New Orleans, and that's the most recent date in terms of injunction. And we do not know when the injunction will be lifted, but we want to encourage DACA and DAPA eligible community members to prepare for documents and get ready to apply because the injunction could be lifted at any given period of time. And in the meantime, advocates and organizers will continue to fight for the rights of DACA and DAPA eligible communities to make sure that they will get the benefits they need. And ultimately, we know that we will win, just a matter of time. But during the meantime, we encourage the community members to prepare for the documents as much as possible.
So is it safe to say that today's press conference, nationwide press conference from the AAPI communities, is to show or to advocate for the fact that July 10th hearing is, is upfront and we need to put our voices together? Is it safe to say that?
Absolutely.
Can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. I mean, we are here, and the collaborative came here today to not only celebrate a 3 years anniversary of DACA, but also we're in solidarity of DACA Plus and DAPA community members to make sure that they will qualify for benefits that they need. We understand that there's a lot of community members are left out who are not qualified for DACA original program. And we also know that there's a lot of AAPI, DACA Plus, and DAPA eligible members are qualified for these programs, and so we are here today to celebrate the third year anniversary and also in solidarity with other people who are eligible for those two other programs.
고 선생님, 아까 전에 4,000명 정도 KRC에서 인터뷰를 했는데 사인업한 사람은 다카 프로그램 한 사람 1,000명 좀 넘는다 그랬죠?
일단 그 전국에서 1,000명 정도.
그게 사인업 레이트가 더 올릴 수 있는 방법이 있습니까?
일단 나이가 되는 학생들 많이 있으니까 그분들이 신청하면 좀 올릴 수 있고, 근데 아직도 숨어 있는 사람들이 많이 있어서 다카가 세이프 아니라고 생각할 수도 있으니까 안 하는 분들 많이 있어요. 근데 우리는 지금 다카는 세이프하고 받으면 그 보호 받을 수 있으니까 꼭 하라고 그렇게 말씀하고 싶었어요.
4,000명 중에 1,000명 명이면 25%, 30% 사인업 레이트 같은데
네.
사인업 레이트가 이렇게 좀 저조한 이유가 뭐가 있습니까? 가장 저조하다는 게. 네.
일단 라티노 커뮤니티하고 비교하면 라티노 커뮤니티에서는 서류 미비자라고 하면 그렇게 스tigma 그렇게 많이 없거든요. 근데 우리 커뮤니티에서는 스tig마도 있고 사람들 눈치 그런 것들도 있고 다른 사람 시선 때문에 많이 불안한 느낌이 있다고 말씀하시고, 그리고 어떤 사람들은 그냥 그 노동 허가증 없어도 직업 찾을 수 있는 방법이 있어서 신청 안 하는 분들도 좀 있어요.
아까 그 렌셀코 그게 어떤 건지 설명 좀 새로
네. 영어로 해도 돼요.
So there are a lot of nonprofit organizations within the API community that rely on with lending circles to afford the 465 filing fee. And it's based on a really old method where you come together, like people, a certain group of people come together and they contribute a certain amount of money until you get the $465, and then everybody takes turns using the $465, and then everybody pays it back. Like, one person uses it, then pays it back. One person uses it, pays it back. And KRC has a lending circle community. The Filipino community also has a lending circle program. And as a result, a lot of people have been able to apply for DACA for the first time. They've been able to do their renewals. And so far it's been pretty useful. I mean, especially because you're also getting to know other people that are undocumented. So you're kind of working as a team to come up with the filing fee as well.
And I would like to add, I'm also actually recipient of Lending Circle program. I couldn't renew my DACA application because of financial difficulties, and that's one of the main reasons why a lot of APIs as well as other DACA eligible community members to apply for the program. Once I found out this lending circle, I immediately applied for the program, and I received a $465 check, and immediately with that check I filed, I submitted the application along with the form, and because of their support I was able to get my DACA renewed on time. And so it's very beneficial, and highly encourage community members to look into Lending Circle program and also encourage them to apply.
민족학교에서는 그 랜딩 서클 프로그램은 미션 아셋 펀드라는 단체하고 같이 하는 중이에요. 그래서 이 프로그램은 100% 커버가 되는 건 아니고요. 근데 그 465불 중에 25% 정도 커버되고 그 loan 프로그램이라서 인트레스트도 없고 그 다 제출하고 나서 페이백 할 수 있어요. 그리고 일단 민족학교에서는 첫 70명 정도 받을 수 있는 거예요. 그래서 웨이팅 리스트 있고요. 70 people sign up 할 수 있어요. 또 다른 질문 있으세요?
그 스탯 주신 게 보통 다 이제 몇 명이 받았다라는 스탯을
네.
주셨잖아요.
네.
Do you guys have a stat for how many people rejected after they apply? The reason that I'm asking because people get afraid wherever they apply. What if I get rejected?
Yeah.
They like appeal everything and then they get rejected. I'm sure that there are some people that are afraid of it. So do you guys have a stat for how many people?
You mean nationally, or do you mean amongst our organizations?
Any stat if you have?
Right now, the DACA program has about an 85% approval rating, which is actually amazing for an immigration program. People that have been denied probably based on either clerical errors, people who just don't have enough evidence to prove that they've been here in the United States, and they just have to come up with just more creative solutions. So, you know, when you apply for DACA, you could use practically almost anything with your name and a date, and it, you know, just like valid documentation. So some people don't understand, like, or don't, you know, think of other things to use for their application. So, you know, they know that you can use like magazines, stuff with your name on it, mail. You just have to kind of get creative with it. And I think one of the like people that they fear, like if they do get denied, is, you know, can I apply again? And the answer is yes, you can apply again, without any negative, you know, any negative repercussions. If you get denied, you just get denied. USCIS will only take action against your case if they find out, you know, you've been some sort of member of a gang, if you've been a member of a terrorist organization, something like that. But otherwise, if you're not, then you just get denied, and you actually are able to apply immediately again. Does that answer your question?
And I have an additional statistic. So this is up until April of 2014, so it doesn't cover this current year, but up until April 2014, the Korean American community had a 92% approval rate for DACA.
It's, I think, the highest reported country of origin for people that are applying for DACA for not only the first time, but for renewals as well.
And from our organization, every single DACA client that we have sent out to Advancing Justice, not one of them was denied. And I think one of the reasons is when you are applying for DACA, it's very straightforward that if you meet those certain requirements and cover all of the time period that you were here, you will get accepted. And the issue with extended DACA and DAPA that got run into in the court cases was that because DACA has such a high percentage approval rate, you know, some judges argued that, you know, they just accept everyone. But the reality is that if you meet those certain requirements and you go to legal aid organizations such as Advancing Justice that looks over everything, most likely you will be accepted.
Yes.
And we do a pre-screening process to make sure that you're eligible before you apply.
And all of that is confidential, so even if we find out that you are not qualified, then we'll just let you know, and that's it, no strings attached.
Any other questions? Thank you all for coming to the press conference, and if you have other questions for individuals, we'll still be here to answer any questions. Thank you. Thank you.
너무 많아. 어떻게? 무슨 나갈 수가 없잖아요. 젊은 것이 많아. 젊은 것이.
어떻게 해서 내보낼게요. 껍질이 그러니까
Yeah, she didn't call me.
맞아죠?
I'll be right back.
보내? 가져줬으니까 보내. 뇌물 먹어서 가는데. 좋습니다. 아우, 봐요? 진짜 봐요.